one of the biggest dangers about going to college these days is that you might get indoctrinated. And by that, we mean that you'll go against what you believe. You'll sacrifice your values. It'll destroy your relationships with your family. It's dangerous to go to college, not to mention with the rise of AI, college degrees are probably not going to be necessary. So people are getting student loans for things that they may not ever be able to use. So college is a liability. I was lucky enough to go to college for about a year and a half. The first year I was like, this is crazy. They're trying to brainwash me. And then I decided to go back for another semester. And I'm like, yeah, that's not for me. I don't want to get indoctrinated. My husband, on the other hand, he was high the whole time he was in college. So he didn't get indoctrinated. Recently, somebody that I love very much, they went to go get a master's degree. And I said, don't get indoctrinated. Don't do it. He got indoctrinated. But I mean, indoctrination it's kind of the death of the human spirit. It really is. But there is some hope. Maybe the path of being a truth teller, of being a realizer. We're not going to expose anything in this episode that's not already out there. But, we're talking about the elites today and why people are so afraid of elites. And by elites, I don't mean the people at the tip top. I don't mean those people. They're just the people. I'm talking about the people who graduated college, the indoctrinated ones. We don't have to be afraid of them. We don't even have to take them seriously because they're not even participating in reality. They have no power. They will do what the man tells them to do. I mean, you don't have to be afraid of them. You don't have to even pay attention to them at all. Because what we know about conditioned minds, you can ignore them. If somebody is telling you a lie, you can ignore them. You can ignore the elites because they're in psychosis. So we're going to look at some videos today, and then I'm probably going to talk a lot about it. How you can just ignore the elites. They are in a death spiral. I mean, they'll probably just die out. Essentially. I mean, there's no point to it anymore. There's no point to being an elite anymore. The whole thing is coming down. The whole thing is crumbling. There's no point in paying attention to it. So it's up to you. You can stop paying attention to the elites today, right here, right now. And we're going to talk about this even more after these opening credits. So welcome to the Shaman Patrick Show. Let's go.
He was once a storm in human form, sharp tongue, cold soul, heart worn and torn, living like a ghost who missed his grave till the spirit sang out and called him brave. He got rewired by the great unknown, heard the call like a dial tone to the bone. So pull up a chair, enjoy the glow. This is the Shaman Patrick Show.
Last week, a game came out called Hollow Knight Silk Song, and I've been playing it. I'm going to put some footage of gameplay on the screen while we talk about this subject. The elites don't even really matter because we that are not elites, and I'm not talking about even rich people or wealthy people. I'm talking about the people who think they know better than everybody else. They know what's best for us. The elites tend to be college educated, and they are the employers. They're the ones in the HR departments. They're in corporate structures. But underneath all of that, there's a world. The game Silk Song deals with bugs. It deals with bugs. And all the main character, which is her name is Hornet. This is Hornet right here. Hey, Hornet, baby. This game is also very difficult, but it has to deal with bugs and this vast underworld, this vast hidden world of these bugs. And in the previous game, Hollow Knight, there was a kingdom. There were all these things going on, this drama, and all of this is going on under our feet. And the elites think that the people who are not like them, that we are useless eaters. They call it flyover country. I live in Kentucky, and I love my in-laws, but they are elites. They are very much elite. They think that I'm a racist because I'm from Kentucky. And they can't be convinced otherwise. I was excited to get to know some Jewish people. I really was. But man, they are elite as fuck. They are so elite. They know it all. You can't talk to them. They think that people are racist. They think that illegal immigration is great because they get to hire maids. I'm not even joking. I am not even joking about that. So the thing is that the elites do not like people who they consider below them. And so when you understand that the news media, the mainstream media, is for the elites, it is an alternate reality. And I used to work in corporate America. It's an insulated environment. I also used to work at a hotel, and these business travelers would come in and they go, I want the corporate rate. And I'm like, okay, the corporate rate is always higher. Was always higher. It wasn't cheaper at all. That was kind of like a big joke. But, some of these businessmen and elites and all of that, I used to design presentations for businessmen and sales guys and all of that. They treated me very poorly. Even though I was the graphic designer, they wouldn't have gotten sales without me. So I'm talking about the elite worldview, those feelings of superiority. And it's why we want to watch out for those feelings of superiority. We want to watch out for that because nobody is any better or any worse than anybody else. I mean, I get along with everybody except people who are hiding something. If they haven't done their shadow work, if they've got strong egos or pain bodies, generally I get along with people unless somebody's actively trying to not get along with me. It's very strange. I love everybody. I don't see many divisions or separations. I don't see racism. I don't see homophobia. I just see scared people. And right now the elites are very scared. So sometimes if you're afraid of elites, you're picking up on their fear. In America right now, we're in kind of a war. We're in a war, and we're also kind of watching the end of an empire. So there's a couple of things going on in our country right now. The old systems are failing. The old control mechanisms are failing. They are. And there is new stuff coming along. But see, the old guard doesn't want to let go of their power. They don't want to let that go. And you can understand that. You can have compassion for that. That's why I try to calm people down. It's not about the money. It's not about the control. It's about being okay. And there are some very shady things going on in our country. There's also some really good things going on. I'm not going to get too much into that, but I do want to highlight a couple of videos today. The first is if you're listening to or paying attention to anything coming out of mainstream media, that is elite. The news is for the elites, about the elites. It is designed to keep this sort of alternate reality going as long as it can. And the news has nothing to do with you. Like, I remember, talking to my father-in-law about things, and he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. And it was so exhausting to talk to somebody who just didn't believe me until it was on the news. He would send me the article when it had hit the Wall Street Journal, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? At some point, you would just believe me, right? If I told you things that turned out to be in the news a few months later, why wouldn't you just start believing me? No, I don't know. I don't know what the deal with him was. I still don't know. I don't know. But at the same time, the news is for the elites. It's not for you at all. It's not true. And when you realize this, that what they talk about on the news is designed to keep this sort of alternate reality going for as long as they can. Because here's the deal. It's fucking over. It's over. Why do you think the news is so against AI? Why do you think the news is so against mass deportations? Why do you think the news is so against these things? But they don't talk about other things. We'll get into more of that later. So let's look at this video from Elon Musk. And I don't consider Elon Musk an elite. He's just a rich autistic guy. But, you know, people, the media loves to demonize Elon Musk. They love to demonize this man. But what is he all about, really? What is he all about? Let's hear from him.
It's the whole thing's very crazy. I mean, the media is incredibly partisan. I mean, they're not. They take almost all the media is left shifted.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird if you talk to somebody who gets all their information from like what I call legacy media. They're living in a different world.
Yeah.
Than if they say are listening to your podcast or getting news from X or just if it's kind of wild. Like
it is very wild.
Like you talked, it's like they're living in an alternate reality.
Oh, there's a lot of people that I talk to that I have to go, where did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, what are you even talking about? You know, because I believe in watching things you disagree with. I do. And, you know, like let's say a coworker or somebody else, they would tell me something as if I hadn't heard it before, or that I was too stupid to understand certain things. And I'm like, well, where did you hear that? And they said, it's all over the news. And I'm like, well, where is it exactly? They would never tell me where it was, because if they had to tell me where they got it from, it would be everybody knows that CNN is a joke. Everybody knows that MSNBC is a joke. So they would have to hear they heard it on the news. And we went through a thing in our culture where it used to be you can't believe everything you see on TV until boom, like a switch was flipped, and it's like now you must believe everything that you hear on the news. So if it's on the news, it's probably not true. And that's just a good rule of thumb. But every now and then they'll come along with something that you got to start paying attention to. But when you realize that the news is for the elites, and the elites tend to be more left leaning. They do. They tend to be more about communism and socialism and all that kind of stuff. And it's wild, isn't it? Because when I was young, that's certainly wasn't what being a Democrat. But Democrat was for the poor people, for the everyman. Now the Democrat Party is the party of the elites and those who serve it. And I'm not very political at all, but I'm not gonna serve the elites. I'm not. Why would I? Because they think I am no more than a bug that they can squash. So no, it is an alternate reality. It's a reality that's not even real. So when people tell me stuff, I'm like, have you taken your meds today? have you taken your meds? Some of the crazy things that have been said on the media, and then the things that don't even get reported on. It's wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the Associated Press, which I call Associated Propaganda, the AP, they ran a international news story saying that Doge fired air traffic controllers. But we didn't fire any air traffic controllers at all. In fact, we're trying to hire air traffic controllers, not fire them.
And that's the crazy thing, because I know when the news is not telling the truth or when they're getting something wrong. I know that. I can see it now. But to watch other people, like, how many times do you have to get burned or lied to before you stop listening to people? How many times do you have to get raked across the coals by something before you finally say, I'm not going to believe in this shit anymore? For me, it was the Jussie Smollett thing, the lies about the Jussie Smollett thing. And now that's been scrubbed. They're like, it's very difficult to find on the internet now at all. So if you know that the media is a mouthpiece for the elites, why would you listen to them at all? If you're really scared of the elites, why do you give it that? And I don't think you are, but why would you pay attention to something that's all lies?
Yeah, I saw that. You made a tweet about it, right?
So this is the thing about X. Like, y'all remember not too long ago on Twitter, if you posted anything that had to do with vaccines, COVID, gender, if you misgendered, you were not allowed to speak on that platform at all if you had a dissenting opinion about anything. And now you can speak your opinion. So let's look at this video right here. Hey, if you don't agree with some of the stuff that I say today, great. That means you can still think for yourself. So here, let's look at this video here.
I think it's important to remind everyone that the only reason why we're not yet living in a 15-minute city on 23-hour lockdown, wearing masks, eating bugs, getting a cancerous shot in our body every other week, plugged into a hive mind to slave away to the elite, it's because of us. It's because of us who went on the streets at every opportunity since 2020. It's because of the truckers in Canada, the farmers in Europe. It's because of the so-called conspiracy people who blew the lid off this whole anti-human agenda. It's because we said out loud what most of us were thinking. That
yeah, and I don't think that people actually realize that. You know, I resisted that shit. My husband resisted that shit. But we didn't resist it just to be edgy or contrarian. We were like, this shit is bananas. You don't want this kind of shit. And even you don't want to force mass anything. Mass adoption, mass vaccinations. You don't want to force any of that stuff. But the side effect of that, the disturbing side effect of it, was I had to come to terms with the fact that people I thought were smart were not all that smart. They were just fronting. And I also learned that people would sell out their own family members. They would betray their own family members. So I wrote we almost got fired from both of our jobs. And I work in recovery. So people in recovery are not going to just put random shit in their veins. If you've gotten sober, you're going to question everything that goes into your mouth, including vapes and stuff like that. So, but I ended up, like, my job was safe because I worked for a rehab. I didn't think it was going to be safe, but many of the higher ups in our organization were like, you can't do, we're going to lose all of our employees. It was remarkable. Like, almost everybody that I worked with was like, hell no. Like, let's get that exemption form. Let's do this because we're not going to do that. Those days were over for us. We're not going to inject weird shit into our veins. I'm sorry. So for my husband, they made him actually file a religious exemption, a spiritual exemption. And so I filled out that exemption for him. I helped him write it. And the spirits really came through. But it was so evil, that exemption form, because it asked you questions like, did you ever get vaccinated as a child? Why do you think that you should? Basically, it was like, why do you think you're so special now? Do you have a degree in epidemiology? Like, all this shit. And you know, like, I read the labels of the food I consume. I care about what goes into my body. And when you inject things into your veins, that's a different story. Like, that's not reversible. Okay. And I stopped getting the flu shot a few years ago. I haven't been sick really at all. So, you know, it's not good for everybody. So some people, that shop makes people sick, and it was making me sick. And in fact, I don't think I started getting stomach problems until because I resisted that stuff for a while, and then they got me. And then who was it that got me? Oh yeah. So I don't just believe doctors anymore. They got to make a good case. They got to give me case studies. They got to show me all this stuff. If that's one thing that came out of that time, I just don't blindly believe shit anymore. Even though there are people out there who still just blindly believe stuff. But for those people that stood up, he's absolutely right. That's the tennis player who refused to get vaccinated. And, but the people who refused had very good reasons for doing it. It wasn't that they were just being dangerous or that they were like, I was like, if I don't stand up against this stuff, I'm afraid, genuinely afraid, that what's the next thing? And the fact that 30% of Americans said no. I mean, either everybody had to go along with it or it wasn't going to work. You see, it wasn't going to work if everybody went along with it. So for everybody that went along with it, you have those 30% of people to thank, because otherwise we'd still be in lockdown. We would like, you don't know how much we almost lost it all. You know, I personally think that globalism failed and that this is just the death throes of it all because there were a few people that stood up to it. So if you want to complain about conspiracy theorists or anything like that, just asking questions and being to evaluate whether something is right for you. You have that right as a person. You have that right as a person.
That we're still somewhat free. So before you judge your crazy, racist, misogynist friends, know this: there's nothing in it for us. We take all the heat, we take all the insults, and we deal with the consequences, and the censorship, and the loss of revenue, and the assassination of character, so we can make all of us free. And that includes you. So next time you see one of your crazy conspiracy friends, do your future, your family, and yourself a favor, and show them some respect.
Evil affects all of us. Isn't that great to know? It affects us all. So I know that there were people who were people who claimed to love me, mind you, that gave me so much shit for putting my health and my wellness first. They haven't apologized. They haven't said, "Oh, we were wrong." They haven't said a word. They have chosen to exit instead of having this difficult conversation. And you know what? Let the elites exit, because they live in an alternate universe. I saw another video today. You know, the elites are fine with illegal immigration until it affects them. Like in sanctuary cities, they were fine. Like, remember when they took a bunch of illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard? And they were like, "Oh no, you can't do this here. Don't bring it in our neighborhoods." The elites are okay with making decisions for you until it affects them. And here's what I'm going to say about this. Be an instrument of God, not a tool for a political party. Don't be a tool for the elites. Don't carry water for that shit. And here's the thing. It's not real anyway. And if you truly want the lesson of how you don't have to pay attention to a conditioned mind, I mean, there is a page, or it's like not even a page, but like a paragraph, a couple sentences in A New Earth about it, about how you can ignore a conditioned mind. And my husband and I took that, and we were like having so much trouble with this, like, because I knew that my family had conditioned minds. Merrick's family had conditioned minds, but they were so relentless, so relentless and so threatening and so persistent in trying to grind us under the heel of their false beliefs. And eventually we're like, we got to write a book about this. And that's what we did. So the machinations of ego is about that. It's about understanding the conditioned mind and so that you can ignore it. And in that book, we go over all the different ways a conditioned mind can express itself. And I want you to know this. You do not have to pay attention to a conditioned mind because it's a lie. And a lie is a lie. A lie is not true. What's true is true and what's false is false. So why would you pay attention to false things? Why would you pay attention to that? All right. So in the next segment, we're going to talk about the elites, the ones at the top. So we got the sort of the bottom elites, and see those elites, they are just grist for the mill. Like you think that they will eat their own. They will sell each other out. They will throw each other under the bus. So I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about them because they believe in things that are not true. They're not awakened. And in the coming world, the awakened people are going to be fine. The awakened people are going to be on top of things. The awakened people are going to be good, yo. So if you're awakened, this should not be a problem for you at all to see easily. However, if you're just spiritual, there's a difference between spiritual and awakened. An awakened person is not going to have any fear around this stuff at all. But if you've still got some fear around it, let's talk about it. But when somebody talks about the elites with me, I know that they don't have any real power because their power is based on an illusion that requires a lot of upkeep, an illusion that requires a lot of moving parts, an illusion that requires constant vigilance and threats and anger to support. It's exhausting. They're going to wear themselves out. They've convinced each other to not have kids, to be single and childless and have no morals and have no dreams or hopes. The dream is a dead dream. The elites have a dream of death, or you could call them a death cult if you want. But in the next segment, we're going to actually go into talking about the ones at the top. So ignore the elites. They don't have any real power. They may look like they have power. They might be the HR department. They might be the person. They might be your boss. They might have this. That's not authentic power. That's illusory power. And if you're a multisensory person, you've got power within you that completely obliterates the power of an elite. And even that's a misnomer. It's all inverted here. Have you noticed this? The people with real power tend to be on the bottom, but the elites don't want you realizing your own power. And here's the thing. They might be afraid that you would be vengeful or that you want to take revenge on the things that you do. And I just tell people, it's fine. It's fine. You didn't know what you were doing. You were brainwashed. It's fine. Don't worry about it. No harm, no foul, honey. I learned who I really was through the whole thing. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Now we're going to watch a talk between Tim Dillon on the Joe Rogan show. It's about Palantir, Peter Thiel's Antichrist talks, and the rich wanting to live forever. And I love Tim Dillon. I watched Tim Dillon, and I was really inspired to make the Shaman Patrick show in part by him. Not only is he gay, and he's a comedian, but he was like, I'll just make an episode about whatever. Sometimes I'll interview somebody. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll just talk. So Tim, thank you. Thank you. He'll probably never hear this, or maybe he will. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. But, Tim was like, just make a show about whatever. And this is the Shaman Patrick show. Whatever. But this is a really interesting talk that they have about the rich wanting to live forever, in addition to some other things. And I want you to know that the elites, to be indoctrinated in that way. Let me talk about this a little bit. To be indoctrinated in that way is a death. Like you are, like to be elite like that, to be that indoctrinated, to be that brainwashed, to be so divorced from what truly matters in this world. They are to be pitied. They are to be pitied. You don't want what they have. You don't want what they have. But they can have what you have. They can awaken at any time. They can. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but they're propped up and supported by these buffers, these illusions of wealth that they're deathly afraid of losing. They're afraid of getting sick. They're afraid of being powerless because their power is tangible. They think that power is brute force. It's this. But in reality, the authentic power is the shit that really matters. You know, you can have this authentic power and you can also be wealthy. And that happens to many, many people. But I'm talking about the soulless ones, the ones who think that this life is it, that there's nothing beyond this. You can see it in the hopeless faces of angry politicians. This is it. That's it. Some of them even think they're going to go to hell for all the things that they've done. And they will for a while. But let's get into this conversation.
There's something strange about the denial of death. The denial of that life is finite in a physical form, and the idea that you are going to live forever, to me, feels there's got to be some examination of that. Part of this feels like that a little bit.
There's a little bit of that.
Some of these people are trying to live forever, and I'm wondering about that.
Well, they certainly want to stay younger for a lot longer than anybody ever has before. And then you get into the weird realm of a lot of these people that want to do something to the body where it becomes immortal. Right?
Right. And that's very interesting to me. And I
transhumanism.
Yeah. And that to me is a little scary. I don't understand. I'm not smart enough to understand it. And I worry about it from many angles.
Well,
so the transhuman thing, and I know that after I did that AI episode that many of you were like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be transhuman. And the thing is that if you have a smartphone, you've already crossed the divide. You've already transcended humanity, because eventually the mobile phone is going to be a part of you. If it's not already, many people can't go anywhere without their phone. You have already transcended humanity. You've already become transhuman in a way. Because you can text people and you can find out where you're going. And, Gigi Young talks about this. Like you don't necessarily need the technology to have those abilities, but you're already a cyborg in many, many ways. And making peace with that and understanding that, if you are still on Facebook, you've sort of handed over your privacy. You may not have realized that that's what you were doing. I know Eckhart has talked about this as well, but it's already been done. And the best thing to do is to just make your peace with it. And this is what's going on, because resistance to what is the worst part of it. And I can assure you that nothing bad is going to happen to you. Everything is happening as it should. That's the way an awakened person would look at all this. Like, yeah, this is going on. This is what's happening. And you may have felt like you got tricked into doing it. I felt like I got tricked onto Facebook. I mean, let me tell you about my experiences with social media. I had friends in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And I remember when Friendster came along, and one of my friends was like, oh, you need to get on Friendster so you can keep in touch with all your friends. I'm like, I'm in touch with all my friends. Why would I need to do this? This is silly. Why would I need that? And then MySpace came along. And the thing about MySpace is it was fun. It was like visiting a homepage on the internet. I've had websites. I knew other people who had websites, but MySpace was for people who didn't know how to build websites. And I thought that was kind of fun. And also you could listen to music. And around that time, I was really into indie electronica, bands like MGMT and Passion Pit and MIA and all that stuff. And they had pages. Like, it was just a fun thing. And I never thought too much about it. And one of my friends he would be on MySpace and he would refresh people's pages, and he was just like, oh, I'm like, what are you doing sitting in front of because MySpace was check, boom, go do something else. So I didn't really understand why people were using these things. I was still in touch with my friends. Then when Facebook came along and somebody said, you need to get on Facebook. And I was like, why do I need to get on Facebook? I don't need to, there's nothing on there that I need. But then they started talking about putting stickers and things on each other's walls and giving each other gifts on Facebook. Y'all remember those days? Those sort of fun days of Facebook? And then there was an encouragement to get more friends on there. And my boss, I worked for Marlboro, and I realized like how fucked up this shit was going to be when we were on a party bus. For all of us that worked for Marlboro, we rented a party bus in Nashville, and we all got shit-faced drunk. Like, I took my shirt off. I was doing pole dances on the party bus. It was bad. But my boss uploaded all those pictures and tagged us in them. And it was like, oh God. And it was out there for everybody to see just what alcoholic drunks we were. And so I didn't really get all that. And really my life was pretty much fine until my family could get access to me through Facebook. And so the whole thing is weird. And so I don't use Facebook anymore. I use X. I don't have a personal social media anymore. I don't use social media to keep up with friends or family. I don't do that anymore. And I still think it's weird that people do that. And yeah, it means that some people just don't, I just don't exist for some people. And some people just don't exist for me. Kind of like how it was in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. Like I keep up with people who want to keep up with me essentially. I just don't, all my social media is business related or work related or shaman related. And that's how I feel about social media. I still think it's very weird. But for those of you who've already done that, like put in a list of all your friends and family and everywhere you've worked and all that kind of stuff, you only have yourself to blame for that. We only have ourselves to blame for that. Yeah, we might feel like we've got tricked, but my strategy for Facebook, let me tell you my strategy. I liked everything. And people would like, it was very irritating for people because I would just like whatever. I was just jamming that signal, just liking everything. And even today, I have an eclectic song playlist. I mean, I watch and listen to everything. It's very hard to see what I'm all about. And the thing about algorithms knowing who you really are, they'll never be able to know who you really are. So don't fall for that. Don't fall for that at all. Human beings are very complex. We have complex preferences and complex likes and all of that. So you're not an algorithm. You can't be reduced to an algorithm. So don't fall for that lie. Hey, if it was that easy, why do I get ads for tampons? I don't watch advertising. So I don't watch commercials or anything like that. But every time I do, I'm like, why am I getting ads for tampons or diapers? I mean, if they were that good at all of this shit, why would they waste their money on that? Why would they waste money on showing me advertisements for diapers and video games that I have no interest in playing? What's the goal of that? What's going to wear me down about that? Even feminine deodorant spray. I don't need it. Why? Because I don't have a vagina at all.
It gets weird when it's really rich people.
Right.
Right, because when it's really young people and you want to stay young forever, so you're 23 and you're getting Botox, oh, you poor kid.
Right.
You're just delusional. You don't know what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're fucking up. But when you want to stay alive forever and you continue to amass insane amounts of wealth,
Right.
that's where it gets weird. Like, you
Yeah.
don't want to quit the game. Like, you're in this, having incredible
Right.
financial influence over the world game.
Yeah.
You're worth $80 billion, $200 billion, and you want to keep that ball rolling.
That to me is a little scary.
Well, it's scary because if the game continues, like, let's look at look at Bezos, for example.
Yeah.
Right. Like, let's imagine that Amazon continues to expand and grow. Bezos continues to profit off of it, and right now he's like, what is he, like 58 or 59 or something like that?
About that, probably.
Well, what would he be when he's 120? Would he have $30 trillion?
He'd have,
you know what I mean?
a lot more than he does now.
And what would that?
And his power would grow.
And if people started encroaching on that power and
Yeah.
trying to limit it and trying to, that's where it gets weird. They get defensive, right?
Yeah.
If people want to tax the rich, eat the rich,
Yeah.
they get a little, and like, okay, I got to fucking build thicker walls.
Get the
Yeah.
bunkers.
Yeah, I got to
Yeah.
do something.
Well, they
And I
just
also have
said-
to create,
Yeah.
work with the.
And that's the thing. The more people go along with, eat the rich, tax the rich are evil, the rich, they're just going to have this reflexive need to protect themselves. That's why the rich feel like they have to get richer, because they have to protect themselves from the you guys, from the bugs, because there's a lot more of us than there are of them. You see? So they're scared of us. We're not scared. There's no need to be scared of them at all, because at any point, people could just kind of stop buying what they're selling, but I can't convince people to do things that are for their own benefit. I can't. It's very difficult to convince people to make good decisions for themselves. It's very difficult to calm people down. However, it seems pretty easy to brainwash people. It seems pretty easy to scare people and get them to act against their own interest. It does. Because my work is about calming people down, saying, hey, there's really nothing to be afraid of. You don't have to buy what people are selling. I mean, not watching commercials really helps with that. I don't buy a lot of things that I don't need anymore. And I think that's the fear coming up. Like, what would happen if people decided that, like, we realize that we can't buy most of the things in Walmart or in any grocery store because it's not good for us. And in fact, we were talking on our live stream this morning that a grocery store should be, like, it could be really, really small, tiny. Because a lot of the stuff that's in a grocery store is pre-digested garbage that's not good for you or even dogs or animals or organic life at all. So if you take away all the pre-digested stuff, all the ultra processed stuff, all the stuff that's just basically chemicals, if you take all that stuff away, a grocery store would probably be 2 aisles. 2 aisles. And a meat and a produce department. The rest of it is just garbage that people have convinced other people to buy. That's it. So I think that is a huge fear. Like, what if this mass awakening happened? And I mean, I did it with Nutter Butters. I dropped them. Even like Doritos and stuff like that. It was just like, oh. And it happened automatically. Yeah, people told me, you don't want to eat seed oils. People told me how bad this stuff was for me. But one day it just happened, like, phew. Oh, this is actual shit. And imagine if people did that en masse. So there is a lot of fear from the elites because I know how to survive. I can survive with very little money, but they can't. They don't have those survival skills. So if we could just put it out there, hey, I don't think we should eat the rich. I think we should be grateful for the rich, for building companies and things like that. But the thing about putting the customer last hey, can we work on that? Because nowadays, companies, the customer doesn't matter. Like the customer doesn't matter at all. The shareholder matters more than the customer. The irony of that is that that's going to make a company go under. Like if you focus more on the shareholder than on the customer, the company will go under. Look at what happened to Big Lots, Bed Bath and Beyond. When these private equity firms buy up these companies, quality goes down, prices go up. Look at what's happening to Nintendo right now. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. So, common ground can be found, and understanding like, I want there to be rich people. I want there to be wealthy people. I want there to be elites. But the problem is that the elites are very scared right now. And you can see how scared they are because the world is changing. The world is ending. This AI has the elites freaked all the fuck out. All the fuck out. Oh, they're just scared to death of that. Anything that brings power to the people is very scary to them.
Government to create some laws.
The World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab just said, and I think it was Klaus Schwab, not Larry Fink, the Blackstone guy, or BlackRock, who's now the interim president or whatever.
Thank God.
Thank God. Someone who understands the issues. But Klaus Schwab is basically like, I believe we're heading towards stakeholder capitalism.
Yeah.
Which is people, private individuals, that have it's a public-private partnership where you have guys like Bill Gates, Elon, Bezos, whoever, people at that level that have a large stake in a public-private partnership that's running society. Yeah. And I think that scares people a little bit, or it's a curiosity because you start going, and it's always kind of been the case. I mean, JP Morgan bailed the federal government out years ago. Like these guys have always had a ton of power, but with tech, the level of power in terms of surveillance and data mining and the power over your life has never been as Orwellian as it is now. And it, even with AI and all of these models, it's even going to get more intrusive.
Yeah.
So I think it's not only these great fortunes, but it's their capability to literally be gods, to literally know what you're thinking, what you fear, what you want, your desires, all of these things, having all your data, knowing everything you do, knowing how fast your heart is beating. You know, all these wearable things that you have that are transmitting frequencies to, someplace where all of your health data is being stored. That's what bothers a lot of people. It's what bothers people about this Palantir thing.
Yeah.
And, so I did a lot of research on this. It was not fun to do that research. I actually hated every fucking minute of it. But the thing about all of that is you want human beings behind that. And when you get to the level of like Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, they cease to be humans. They become like gods. But see, the thing is, these gods are also human beings. And I like the fact that Elon Musk tries to stay in touch with the common man. That's the one thing I like about Elon Musk. It's the thing I like about our president right now. They really do try to stay in touch with the common man. And I saw an interview with Ivanka Trump, and this was an incredible interview. And it's such a shame that the news media doesn't report accurately on this family at all. It's just a shame. It's a missed opportunity because Ivanka Trump talked about campaigning for her father in the first election. And she talked about how she thought she knew about the world and that she thought that she knew something about life and reality. But when she was campaigning for her father, she got to spend time with people who were just normal, regular, everyday people and got to hear from their mouth their concerns. And it humbled her. She learned about the opioid crisis. She learned about food insecurity. She learned about all of these things. And of course, people, the elites hate Trump. The elites hate that man. And I really feel the reason that the elites hate him is because he is in touch with the common person, and he does care about the common person's needs. And you have to realize that what the media tells you, what the elite media tells you, is probably gonna be wrong. Wrong. And I know that they've got many things about them, but if you can let go of your emotions, if you can let go of your judgments, don't you want to see the truth about something? But Ivanka was so humbled by the act of campaigning, getting out of that ivory tower and mixing with just ordinary people who have ordinary concerns, and knowing that you might be powerless to help these people. And so I know for a large part of her work with her father was about addressing the needs of the common person, because being a president is a very tough job, and you have to look out for lots of different people's interests. But I know there's a reason why the elites hate him so very much. I'm not going to talk about it in this episode, but you know, it seems to me like whatever the news is against is probably going to be very good for you. It probably is. That's how I watch the news. When I have to watch the news or something, I'm like, why would they want to talk about, why are they so scared of AI? Why do they keep fear mongering about certain things?
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
The Palantir thing is very odd.
A lot of people feel that.
I will say this. This is what I discovered. You know, the reason that Democrats want illegal immigrants, because if it weren't for that, they're probably not going to have a party. So they need illegal immigrants to come in. They want to grant them citizenship so that they can stay in power. That's it. And it's stupid and it's sad. And I'm like, hey, can't we work something out here? Like, you don't have to import a whole, like, look at what you're doing to these poor people. Like, it's I care about the illegal immigrants because I think they got sold a lie. And I think that they were getting tricked into a sort of indentured servitude, because I do know that the plan was to create an underclass of people who were not citizens, but they would be able to have some citizens' rights. They would be paid much less than American citizens. If you look under the hood, the whole thing is gross and disgusting.
This is the precursor to a social credit score, a digital kind of police state, and that it's being done under the guise of security, that you will be safer.
Which is what the Patriot Act was brought through
That's
with.
exactly right.
It's always the case. It's always the case. They always sneak it in like, you got to be safe.
Yeah.
And then you get the Benjamin Franklin quote.
The people that want security, right? They something about they deserve neither.
Yeah.
They trade liberty for security.
Yeah,
Deserve neither. Yeah. I mean, it's true. I just think, Peter Thiel's giving a 4-part lecture on the Antichrist.
Yeah, that seems odd.
4-part. Well, here's what's really wild to me. 4 parts. It's not.
And I was going to try to cover that. I still might cover that talk if those lectures get leaked. If they get leaked, but I would love to go to hear those talks. They're in San Francisco. Maybe in the future, the Shaman Patrick show could be financially well off to go report on stuff like that, because that's something that I would love to hear and be in person. That is a talk for the elites. It's expensive to get there. It's expensive to get in, and it's for the elites. And I would love to hear what he has to say about the Antichrist. Might do a deep dive on that. That would be very interesting.
Just one lecture on the Antichrist would be insane. This guy's doing a series. He's doing a 4-part lecture on the Antichrist, and nobody in his inner orbit went, Peter, how about 1 lecture on the Antichrist or no lectures?
Yeah.
Not 4.
Well, I don't think he understands the optics.
He certainly does not.
Yeah.
It's odd. Yeah.
Tickets sold out.
Well, of course.
Well, it's a private lecture at a club. in San Francisco about the Antichrist. What does he know about the Antichrist? Is he like,
I'm guessing a lot.
if you told me there was a movie and
Yeah.
there was a guy who played the Antichrist, zoom in on that image of him.
Yeah.
I would say, oh, is that him? Was that the Antichrist?
This is like me doing a 4-part lecture on Long Island racism. Just to show everybody, how much I know about it and how scary it is and how we got to watch out for it. But it's totally not me or anyone I know. It's no one that's ever been in my backyard.
I mean, and Peter Thiel is probably the reason why gay marriage is legal. I'm just going to say, I'm going to put that out there because Peter is a gay man, and he, the things that become legal tend to be billionaire interests. And I heard that a long time ago and I never forgot it. Like if there's a billionaire who wants something to be legal, it will be essentially.
But those others, he's just kind of, leaning in, I guess.
Well, I just don't understand, like, why. What I would like. Someone saw it. Someone saw one of the lectures that he did on the Antichrist.
Was it good?
It might have been Duncan. He said it was boring.
It's of course going to be boring.
But I don't understand, like, what is he doing?
He's trying to prove he's not the Antichrist.
By ratting
By
him out.
doing it. He's like, if I was that's probably how the lecture starts. He goes, now if I was the Antichrist, I obviously wouldn't be doing this lecture.
You know what it's like?
Yeah.
It's like those really shitty men
Yeah.
that become male feminists.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
they tweet, believe all women.
Yeah. Well,
and
no,
you're
no,
like,
yes.
hey.
Yeah.
I know you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
You're a piece of shit.
Yeah, watch out for male feminists. Do y'all know about this? Watch out for that shit. Watch out. The wolves in sheep clothing. And it's like that with anybody who's virtue signaling in that way. Because they're trying to wave you away from something.
O.J. Simpson read a book called If I Did It.
Yeah, I have a copy of it.
So this is Peter Thiel's version of that. His lecture on the Antichrist is If I Did It.
I think
by
my
O.J.
wife threw it out, honestly.
No.
Yes.
Oh, come on.
She's known to do things like that.
I get it. As a woman, you would see it and go, he doesn't need this.
Well, she thinks it's for because
For
I
fun,
go,
yeah.
somebody gave it to me for fun. It's
Yeah.
signed.
Right.
It was a signed copy.
Amazing.
And sometimes she will throw things like that out if they gather dust for a little too long.
I
and
understand.
I don't lock
Yeah.
it in my office.
If I Did It is laying on the kitchen counter.
But I had a copy of it I didn't even open it.
It's so strange.
Actually, no, I did open it. I opened it a little bit, and I was like, "What?"
It's so strange to have this. You build military AI, military drone, autonomous drone technology to export to war zones all over the world. You build domestic surveillance technology to surveil our friends and neighbors, and then your other pet passion is the Antichrist. It's odd. Wouldn't you include tennis? Wouldn't
It is odd. But I listened to Peter Thiel a little bit, and the Antichrist is going to be against widespread adoption of technology. Yeah, I'm probably going to do a deep dive about this. Like I'm not afraid of I'm not afraid of any of this stuff. But at the same time, the elites could just cause a lot of trouble. They could just cause a lot of trouble. They already have caused a lot of trouble in my life. I would say my in-laws have caused me a lot of trouble. They can cause people a lot of trouble. I'm not annoyed. I'm annoyed, like mosquitoes buzzing in an ear. Like, come on, can't we just all get along? Can't we all have fun? I want to have fun. I just want to have some fun. All right, so in the next segment, I want to talk about authentic power according to Gary Zukov. If you've read the book, The Seed of the Soul, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So we talked about some conspiracy theories and elites being liars and not having all that much power, but I want to turn to this. What is authentic power?
So what is power really? What does power mean to you? If you're not at home in the world, You live in the fear of one who can never truly relax and enjoy your life. Where's the power in that? Our species is undergoing a tremendous, unprecedented transformation in consciousness. And with this transformation of consciousness is coming a new understanding of power. That is, power as the alignment of the personality with the soul. That's authentic power. And we use this term authentic power to distinguish it from the kind of power that a jet fighter has, that a bullet has, that the Roman legion has, that the American military has, that any military has. We think that if someone is defenseless and unarmed, and they are brutalized by an enemy that is armed and has no compassion, that the enemy has the power. But that is what we are beginning to realize, hundreds of millions of us, is not the case. That kind of power, power to control, power to manipulate the external world, now produces only violence and destruction.
I think this is so important to realize. And if you take one thing away from this video today, you have the power. If you have this authentic power, you've got the power. You have the upper hand. I mean, I've told this story before. Like, I've been mugged. I've had a gun held to my head and something just came over me. And I was like, hell no. Don't give your power away to people who don't really even have it. Who don't really have it at all. You know, we've talked about the term gaslighting. Gaslighting so obvious you can see right through it. Does gaslighting work on me anymore? No. 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 If somebody tries to gaslight me today, I'm like, oh, honey, that's not true. If somebody tries to lie to you today, because see, I used to do that. When people would gaslight me, it would disturb me that they would gaslight. I'm like, why would you do this? In dealing with my family stuff, I used to joke about it and say, well, I know that they know that I know that they know that I know that they know they're lying. They know they're lying. I know they're lying. What's even the point of this? What's the point of this? And that's what you're seeing with this authentic power. Yeah, it is giving rise to lots of violence. Emotional violence even. A lot of manipulation and control. Does the manipulation work anymore? Do any of you out there believe what's on the news? I don't know a single person who takes anything from the news seriously. I think we laugh about it. When we're at the gym in the morning and we see stuff, that's the only time I see the news is in the gym. And when we see that stuff, it's hilarious to us. It's hilarious. What was the news story we saw this morning? That climate change causes people to eat more sugar. And I guffawed loudly. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. It's so absurd. The authentic power is the ability to see through that stuff. The ability to see through the illusion. It doesn't even affect you. It's like watching an episode of The Simpsons or some other cartoon. Like the news looks like Bob Burgers to me. It's so stupid and dumb. That's the authentic power that we're talking about, to laugh at it. Honey, the reason you're eating more sugar is that you're eating more sugar. There's no other reason. You're just doing it. If you don't want to eat more sugar, stop.
That kind of power is external power. It's the kind of power that we've known since the origin of our species. It's the kind of power that developed tools and weapons and shelter and agriculture. It's the kind of power that developed technology. It's the kind of power that shaped and reshape the world in order to make us, as a human species, feel safe and valuable. Well, what a surprise it is now, in the 21st century, to discover that that very kind of power is now counterproductive to our evolution. The very understanding of power that enabled us to evolve now prevents our survival, prevents our evolution.
My light kept going off. The spirit's turning off the light. So the old ways are ending. The ego is ending. The ego is no longer necessary. You don't even have to do anything except work on your own ego issues. That's it. Let me see if I can find this news story.
Well, a new study shows as the temperatures rise, more Americans choose to drink and eat more foods containing sugar.
That explains my weight gain in the summer. Researchers at Cardiff University in Wales tracked a number of American families and looked at the foods that they bought between the years 2004 and 2019. And researchers compared the food with the weather outside. Hotter weather makes bodies lose more water. Researchers say they saw an increase in people choosing products like sodas, juice, and ice cream as the temperatures warmed, and then sort of making that connection to the sugary part of that and say, well, it's a hot day, you want relief. What, a cold glass of water is not good enough.
Okay, well,
Are retarded people running this shit? This is so dumb. I wonder, what were this is very good. Sugarcane and corn are much less environment. It's all ridiculous. It's all stupid. It's all dumb. It's all just so dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb because they draw like, oh God. But I think it's all funny. But what does that even matter? What's the point of that? It's another inauthentic power. An inauthentic power. Inauthentic power. And I want to leave you with this today. This poor woman. She says that she has lost her family to Trumpism. And I feel so bad for these people who have been tortured by the news media. This is a fucking shame. This poor woman.
Trump and the Republicans. If it's the last thing I can do, I will make them pay. I've lost my son to Trumpism, my brother to Trumpism, and now I have no family.
Honey, you didn't honey, it's not honey. You have watched too much elite propaganda. You have, honey. Look at this. I mean, this is the real cost of this shit. And that's kind of why I'm saying all this today. I mean, this poor woman thinks she's lost her son. They probably just started thinking for themselves. And if she's going to be this ridiculous about politics, this is sad.
If that's a world that we have to live in, I don't want to live in it. I can't. I can't. I can't watch my kids and be a part of it. I'll do anything to stop it.
How did she lose her family to Trumpism? What is Trumpism? I don't even know what that is. Let me see if I can find, because that's a new one for me. I don't follow this stuff very often. What? For real? Trumpism is the ideology behind U.S. President Donald Trump and his political base. It is often used in close conjunction with the Make America Great Again and America First political movements. It comprises ideologies such as right-wing populism, right-wing anti-globalism, national conservatism, and neo-nationalism, and features significant illiberal, authoritarian, and at times autocratic beliefs. Trumpism has authoritarian leanings and is associated with the belief that the president is above the rule of law. It is preferred. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, here's the thing. You know, the elites wanted globalism. The elites really needed globalism, because but globalism, I think, has failed. So yeah, anything that puts national sovereignty, all that stuff is going to be very terrifying to them. Very terrifying to them. But this poor lady here, look, honey, it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. Nothing serious is going on. I mean, if there was something serious going on, I would let you know. And because I don't want to live in a globalist shithole, because the globalism was about bringing everybody down to a third world status. So, America used to be about lifting people up out of poverty. But for the globalists, that was going to take too much work. So they wanted to bring everybody down to a third world status. And I've not seen anything authoritarian out of the Republican Party. If anything, I've seen that come out of Democrats more than ever. But I'm going to leave that there for today. But none of that even matters when you come into your authentic power. And let's focus on the authentic power. The authentic power is the control mechanisms fail. Control mechanisms usually fail. I mean, controlling people burn themselves out. And so all this mass surveillance, all this cockamamie shit that is being birthed in the background, it's easily stopped. It's easily taken care of if people just don't participate in it. Like, look at what happened to Bud Light when they put a transgender person as their spokesperson. People stopped buying Bud Light. That's the wild card with everything. I mean, there's going to be wild cards that come along. There's going to be even Trump cards that come along. Black Swan events that come along. Just trust in God. Trust in the authentic power that is burgeoning up within you. All right, enjoy this AI song that I wrote for you. I want you to have a lovely day, and I will see you tomorrow. And remember, the elites have no authentic power.
I got a frog in my pocket, he's eating my chips. Wears a tiny little tie and he loves back
not talk. Frog, 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 yeah, he's hogging my lock. Sipping on soda like a swamp demigod. Spin, spin, spin with your froggy little chin. If life gets weird, just let the frog win. Ribbit, 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 croak, croak, croak. Ribbit, 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 croak, croak, croak. Frog in the kitchen wearing cowboy boots, playing banjo riffs, eating canned fruit. Talking to the ceiling, making 0 cents. Got a frog for a lawyer, frog for a defense. Frog, 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 yeah, he's hogging my lot. Riding a scooter through a discount bog. Croak, croak, croak with your slippery joke. Frog is the future, man, that ain't no hoax. Feisty frog flipping flapjacks fast. Fancy fedora with the feather so brash. Frog with finesse, frog filling the frame. Forever I'm foolish, but frog runs the game. He's green, he's mean, he's a jelly bean king. He stole my lunchbox, he stole my swing. If you ask me